Here it is. It's TE-40 Harley Benton number 1, which was the bad one, which I had them replace. So I guess I'm going to treat this kind of like the Gold Top 1, Gold Top 2 scenario, where I'm going to try and save it. The fretboard is extremely grody. The strings are quite corroded, especially up there around the neck area. It's not going to come out very well, but it's really, really bad up there. Okay, so the things I've learned from some of the other guitars I've had is, besides using these strings to fix the nut, it's taken me at least three other guitars now that I did not, well, let's say it's taken me three other guitars to figure out that after I've done everything and put it all back together and set it up, I found out that I wasn't happy with the angle of the neck, and it needed to be opened up and shimmed and reset up so that it would play properly. And I only really found that out after, I'd taken it back out of the bag after some time. Started to play with it, and I'm feeling like, oh, the truss rod needs adjustment. And then I go, oh, truss rod adjusted, but it's causing buzzing now. And then you see that, oh, well, with the truss rod set, the neck seems to be, the head is too far forward. And you're going, ah, crap. I'd have to bend it, tilt it down, lift that up so I could straighten out the truss rod a little bit more, so you get a little bit more height adjustment requirements from your bridge. At the moment, I don't have a roller bridge to replace this one. It's coming. And I also don't have the current string trees that I need to replace those with. And they're coming. I have new tuners, same tuners as I put on TE number 2, TE-40 number 2, Music Lily. I'll have to grease them and everything like I did the first time, but first thing I'm going to have to do is, one, try to make these strings work to adjust the nut properly, and then check a full setup to make sure that I don't need a shim in the neck, or I do, and if I do, what is it? Fix it, so that when I take it out and try to work on the parts individually, that I will end up being able to put it back together with the shim, with my new strings the first time, and it's right. All I'll have to do is just check the setup on it. So the neck is a whole job on its own. The body's going to be full aesthetics, keeping the pickups, keeping the knobs. The switch is already broken. It doesn't work on bridge neck position. It looks like the ferrules are okay at the back at the moment. I see some little tipping up of these bits in the front here. I guess that's unavoidable because of the tension that is put on those. I don't know how deep they are either. Tension, they do not go right through the body because it's impossible. These go in so far, and then the other ones go in so far. Of course, I'm going to change all the electrics. I'm going to put volume like I did on TE2 and try to save it. The back of this neck is not as pippy as number 2 was. This one's relatively smooth. I can feel just a couple of tiny little bits in there. Going to come off very easily with a little bit of Scotch-Brite. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to work on is the nut angles down here. This is kind of like a new bone type of nut, and it needs to be having a little bit better back angle on it. The height is not too bad at the moment, but I have to check out a few things. So that's what I'm going to do first, is work with the nut Um, try to set it up as best I can as it is. See how it plays, and then I'll attempt to take the neck apart if I'm going to try to put a shim in there and get it back together. I think there's plenty of strings winding up here to be able to loosen them. You know, this one always breaks on me. When that happens, I lose some of the pull for the tension on the neck, and then I just have to guesstimate until I get a full 6 on there again. These Roswells are splittable. I found out from number 2 that a 1K resistor here, I think it was a 1K or a 1.24K, drops it from 8 to 6 and gives me a nice feeling when I split it. And this one, I don't remember if I put one in there. I'll have to look at the circuit, but I think I might have put a 1K in there as well. Although typically, because of the position and the movement of the strings, a lot more up here than it's down there, so it produces more voltage here in the pickup. That screw seems to be a little bit high on that pull piece right here. All right. The saving grace of all this is that there's 2 spare Roswell pickups in the guitar. Alrighty, I found out very quickly that I cannot get the height adjustment that I want. I can here on the low E side, but it buzzes. But on the high E side, the best I can get it to is right on the 4/64th number, and no better, and that's all the way in. Now these bridges are less tall, shorter height from where it goes into the top of the saddles than a roller bridge. A roller bridge will increase the height even more. So this tells me right now that this neck is sitting too deep in that pocket, and it will never ever work the way it is. As per usual, the high E string broke at only the second loosening. And I'm surprised that, these strings break like that, because they make them look like they're D'Addario, but I don't know. They break so easy at the top end. And you can see the kink there. That kink right there is the kink that's happening with the string coming over the back end of the bridge here. That's what's happening to the string. That's not supposed to happen there. So the roller bridge will take care of that. See if we can just hold that right there. Ah, bloody hell, the ferrule came out. There's one. If there's one loose like that, oh geez, the hole is so over drilled, it's unbelievable. Oh man. See, there are things you don't even know. Besides the stuff you see when you come out of the box, you just don't know what else is so bad. Just like, I mean, loosey-goosey. Horrible. That means that they're probably all like that. They use the same bit to do them all. Well, the pocket is very smooth. It's been done really nicely. It's just too deep. I see there was poly in there, and they got it all off, but unfortunately they took wood down. There's a tiny little bit of poly in the corner here over some black, so they took it down right through the black. You can see the white from there, so you can't see this corner, but no, never mind. Try to save these strings as long as I can. All right, that means I'm going to have to bring the whole pocket up. Well, I've been playing trial and terror with different thickness shims. This was the original one, 40. It didn't do it at all. And then I put a 48. This wasn't it. I don't know where that is. I went all the way up to a 72. A little bit too much. And then I came back down to a 63, which is kind of a plasticized card. And I shaved it off a little bit to get it down to like a 62, 63 in some places. So this one allowed the bridge to be up more. Right now I've got the 48 is inside, and I also put on a roller bridge. It's not the gold one, of course, but it is the profile. I also changed the anchors in the body to be the type that was going to come on it eventually. I also put the size of the studs that will come in there, and they're chrome. So all of the hardware has the right profile for what will end up on the guitar. This high E side is sunk right to the bottom. It has to be right down to be able to get the right action here. And then on this side I've got maybe 2.5 millimeters up, 1/16 of an inch. So I have more adjustment on this side than on the high E side, specifically because of the thickness of the strings. Alright, let's see how many ferrules will fall out. Clean up aisle 4 again. All the ins and outs and ins and outs. I was thinking eventually those things are going to strip and I'm going to have to plug them. Alright, that neck stays here. This body goes to the other bench. I've got the body completely stripped down. As you can see, I'm working on the buffing with the most aggressive pad I have to get all of the stuff off. It's like they send guitars to Canada to have them completed. So with the black pads being the softest, when I go to the wax, I usually go to the egg crate to try to minimize the swirls. I hope that's what they're intended for. Yes, it looks better than the new guitar I got to replace this one. Now that I've worked on it. So yeah, number 2 came out of the box not looking this good. So yeah, this is kind of a happy result at this level. I got down to the mailbox and the new BM003 came in. Got the posts on there. We're going to have to now integrate the neck with the body. The neck tuners are on. Look at that. Nice. And we're going to have to put that in there. The strings are on, but I'm having some trouble dialing in the neck just yet, so just going to sit there for a little bit and see what happens. Well guys, it's now 7:45 in the evening. I started working on this around 8 a.m. this morning, and all I had to do was to put the 2 pieces together. And here I am, unable all day, with only a couple of hours break during the day, to, it's like about 10 hours I've put in on this thing now, trying to figure out what the hell's the matter with it. Usually everything works fine when you get the shim, but I knew that this was too low in the pocket, so I built it up with some shims. It took 62, 60, 63, 1.33 millimeters to build it up so that the neck would sit above the body the same as the other one does, TE number 2. However, looking at the neck, I'm thinking there's something wrong with this neck. I mean, I did a fret job on it, I got them level and all that, but the fretboard has a slope. It slopes towards the high end downward compared to the high E side. It slopes this way. The fretboard has a weave to it, sloping down towards my thumb here on my left. Look at that. It's okay up at the higher frets, but then as it gets down to 12, it slopes to the low bass side of the strings, and there was nothing I could do to make this play properly. With the curve, it's definitely not working. I cannot make this bridge, which is a 14, work with this neck at all. It just doesn't. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I'm at a point of dilemma. If I treat it like the Cozart and recover parts and the rest of it goes to the junk because that's too deep and that's twisted. I've invested new tuners, I've invested new bridge, I've invested new pots and a new switch. So the only hardware that's left on it that's the same is the pickups. So with the wood neck screwed up and the wood pocket screwed up, I'm having a dilemma of being able to save this guitar. Well, I finally had to give up on my tenacity to try and fix this, and so it's been reduced to firewood. I have extracted all the usable hardware, including everything from the neck. This curved fretboard, not so good. So besides that, you know, with the pocket being you know, overly cut deep, and I found out that the heel width on these Harley Bentons are 2 4/16 of an inch, not 3/16 as a Fender, and the pocket is already overcut by at least another 1/16 of an inch. So I thought, well, maybe I could put my Fender neck on this, or a Fender spec neck on this. I tried it, but I mean, it was just floating way more than this one does, and there was just no point in giving that a shot. So this is the first guitar out of nearly 50 at this point, that maybe it's 50, I don't know, but it's close to that, that I have been unable to save. So after all the buffing work and getting all that crap out of it and making it look pretty good and doing a whole fret job on this thing, and you know, during the fret job you don't notice that it's curved. You just figure out where the high frets are and you run the blade, and I should say the sandpaper, until they're level with the rocker, and you don't know that it's curved unless you have a really good look at it. And that's not something I really thought of doing from the outset, which is another hard lesson learned that I'm going to do from now on, is always look at the neck first. This guitar has been a few hard lessons learned about what to do up front. So at least I got that out of it, plus recovered, you know, hardware and all the electrics. So I spent another $110 on hardware to put on this thing, hoping I was going to be able to save it. But nope, they'll have to wait for another day. So Harley Benton TE-40 #1, that looked really bad from the outset without going deep was even worse when you got deep. I think I'm off Harley Benton's for sure. Stay tuned for Harley Benton number 2, which was not as aesthetically bad when it came in, and the neck is straight, and that series will follow this series. Anyway, you just never know what's going to happen. Look at, I got sunshine outside for the first time in a week. Thanks for all your support. Catch you in the next one.